Welcome back everybody to a very special video of every F1 year where tonight we're going to be going through the awards for the 2025 F1 season. Now, it's been a very interesting season overall, not so much at the beginning, but certainly towards the end. So naturally because of this, I've got a lot of awards to hand out to the drivers and teams tonight to see who's done the best, or even the worst, in some certain categories that I've chosen. So, to begin with, first we must see how many podiums each driver has had and their respective ranking from the season, which you can see in front of you right now. Both McLaren drivers lead everyone else, with Max Verstappen closely behind, and then everyone else kind of filtering down from there. And you'll notice most of the drivers don't actually have any trophies to take home, which is why tonight, hopefully, a lot of them will get some. And at the end of this, we'll see if the championship order changes with how many trophies our drivers have got. And a sort of important clarification to know with how these trophies are handed out is, regardless of whether your award is good or bad, you will get a trophy. That there's no positives or negatives, it's just a trophy. You win. And in the case that a team gets given an award, then both drivers from the respective team will get a trophy. So, without further ado, let's go straight into the first award of the evening, of being Rookie of the Year. Now, there are quite a few different nominees for this award tonight, and I'm sure many people have strong opinions on who they believe is Rookie of the Year, and that arguably is between probably Isaac Hadjar, Kimi Antonelli, and probably Oliver Bearman. Those are the top three in contention for Rookie of the Year. And whilst each of them have had very, very strong moments in the year, one of them comes up above the rest in terms of consistency and just out of expectations, exactly what you'd expect for a surprise Rookie of the Year. And that driver is none other than Isaac Hadjar, who is going to win the first award of the evening for a very spectacular season, really. It kind of simmered down a little bit towards the end of the year, but not to any means where it was bad, just not headline worthy. But getting a podium in his rookie season is nothing but laudable. It's incredible in an RB that he got a podium pretty much on merit. And then even beyond that, he's just had an incredibly consistent season and is very deserving of this trophy tonight. So with that done, our next award of the evening is going to be for Flop of the Year. Now, this one is going to be focused on drivers more so, not necessarily teams. And there have been a few drivers of note, really. One you might come to think of would be Lewis Hamilton, with a very disappointing year in Ferrari. Or perhaps someone like Esteban Ocon, who's just been very non-existent in the Haas this year, and arguably beaten by his rookie teammate. But I haven't chosen either of those two drivers. Instead, I have chosen Franco Colapinto for Flop of the Year. Now, the Lewis Hamilton case is very strong, and I think it's understandable if you feel that he should have won this award tonight. But the reason Franco's been picked is because he came in with a lot of expectation to do better than Jack Doohan, and just, have that sort of spark he had in Williams the year prior. And it just hasn't manifested at all this year. And it's very difficult to assess because when he joined, the Alpine wasn't amazing, and you're kind of judging from qualifying 19th or 20th. So it's not easy, but he's just, of all of the drivers on the grid, he's done nothing this year. At least with Lewis, he got a sprint win. He's done some good things, like he had a good qualifying in Mexico. Or with Esteban Ocon, he's had a good couple races. But he's just done nothing. And I know the car isn't in the best place to let him do stuff, but Gasly has done things. He's got into Q3s. He scored singular points, yes, but it's still points. And unfortunately, just Franco's non-existence is going to win him the Flop of the Year award tonight. But at least he gets a trophy for the year. A lot of drivers can't say the same. So that takes us on to our next award being given out, and that is for Biggest Improvement of the Year. Now, this can be from anything, teams, drivers, and there have been a lot of people who have improved this year. For example, you could say Williams have had a very, very strong year. Or perhaps with a driver, you could say George Russell's had a much bigger step up on 2024 this year for 2025. So there's many people or teams you could suggest for this, but tonight the award is going to Sauber. Now, this is quite nice for them to win this award, given that it's their last year, or it has been their last year in the sport. So it's a nice send-off to give both drivers a trophy to go home with. But the main reason Sauber has won this, even though you look objectively at the standings, and I believe they're ninth, and you think to yourself, that's not that great, but you need to compare it to last year, or 2024, I'm afraid. You have to compare it to 2024, where this team was literally a green dustbin that will get collected in the mornings. Like, this car, it wasn't even a car. It was terrible. And somehow Zhou Guanyu got points with it. Don't know how. Kind of crazy. But it was terrible. By far the biggest backmarker of certainly 2024 and 2023 probably. Just completely off the pace. Never looked like it had a chance of doing anything. And then to go to 2025, and yes, they've got a new driver lineup, but just quite often fighting for points. It's nothing but impressive to go from absolutely terrible to pretty decent. Whereas you look at Alpine, who went from kind of decent to absolutely terrible. So, very well-deserved award from Sauber tonight. Both drivers will be happy with it, of course, getting a trophy. Nico Hulkenberg will add to his one from Silverstone. So, good night for Sauber. Which now will lead on to the next award, which is Biggest Disappointment of the Year. And as you've probably noticed, I've been giving some other nominees before I say the winner of the category. But unfortunately, with Biggest Disappointment, there's just not really much competition here. And I'm sorry to break your hearts again for the nth year in a row, but Ferrari, guys, like, what a shambles. And like I say, clear, not even a contest for winning this award. To go from almost winning the Constructors' Championship in 2024 to literally finishing a distant 4th with no race wins is absolutely shocking. And it's just a case of terrible management. Why would you change your car so drastically when you had a race win contending car? Why would you do that? And of course, if it worked, nobody would be saying this. But the gamble that they took was just never worth it, instead of building off of a strong concept that they already had. And look, the only positive you can take from this is that Lewis Hamilton will get a trophy from this, so he will not get a podium this year, but he'll get a trophy at least. So it kind of softens the blow of his terrible season. But well done, Ferrari. Good job for being terrible as always, and I'm sure they'll continue it on into the new regulations. But saying that, our next award of the night is for Overtake of the Year. Now, there have been some very great overtakes this year, and a lot very worthy of this award. I think some that come to mind would be Charles Leclerc's overtake in Zandvoort, or Max Verstappen's lap 1 overtake at Imola, Oscar Piastri at Melbourne. Many overtakes, many amazing ones. And I have already said the one that has won the award. And the one that has won the award tonight is Max Verstappen's Turn 1 overtake at Imola. And the reason he's won this award is simply because watching it live, obviously it's different watching it back or watching it on highlight, but watching it live, everyone saw him get a terrible start, had already been jumped by George Russell pretty much, and literally, if you bet on it, I don't think probably 0.0001% of people would say Max Verstappen would come out in the lead of a very tight chicane. Like, it was simply lovely, I suppose, considering it's Max Verstappen, but it was just not expected, completely out of the blue, and just feels like it was ludicrous what he did. Like, yeah, sure, Piastri may have braked a little earlier than he could have, but Max, if Oscar did brake later, Max still had committed and sent it around the outside. It was a 100 or 0 to hero move. If it worked, it worked. If not, he was probably spinning off. So, full commitment overtake, and I think very worthy winner of Overtake of the Year. Now, our next award is going to be for Strategy Disaster of the Year. And similar to Biggest Disappointment of the Year, it is kind of a field of one. It's not close. It's McLaren that win this for their absolute disastrous strategy in Qatar. Not much more needs to be said on this. The internet has gone wild in flaming McLaren for how terrible this was, so I don't need to add on it. It was just stupid. It made zero sense to do both cars staying out, and at least they win 2 trophies from it. They managed to get the headlines, and you know what? They get Strategy Disaster of the Year. I'm sure that's what all they wanted. Is who cares about the World Drivers' Championship, the Constructors' Championship? All that matters is Strategy Disaster of the Year award, and they've got it. So congratulations, McLaren, and that is a trophy to both Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. Now, next, our award is going to be for Driver of the Year. Now, I don't know if some of you have seen online where team principals have voted for their best drive of the year, and the drivers have voted for best drive of the year, and you'll find that it's pretty unanimous, and it's unanimous here as well. It's Max Verstappen. Both McLaren drivers had very great points in the season, but unfortunately when it just comes to relentless consistency over the year, that goes to one man, and it goes to Max Verstappen. This guy just... It's impossible to know how good the Red Bull is, because he just doesn't have a teammate, really. But you feel he just gets the maximum of the car pretty much every weekend. So doing that 24 races a year, give or take, it deserves Drive of the Year. And to think he finished 2 points off the championship lead, it is crazy. It's a generational performance. Lando Norris's dad said no one remembers second place, but unfortunately, I think most people, or a lot of people, thought Max Verstappen did a better job than his son this year. So, Max wins Driver of the Year, and he will add a trophy to his cabinet. Now, the next award is going to be for best livery of the year. Now, we've had a treat of liveries this year, or in 2025, and a lot of them are quite similar in sort of quality, where there's the white bull, for example, for the Japanese Grand Prix. We had the sort of prismatic V-carb livery for Las Vegas. We also had the Williams livery in COTA. We had lots of really nice liveries. And some terrible ones, looking at Ferrari, by the way. But there was one that for me stood out amongst the rest. A, in how striking it was, and B, just how simplicity sometimes is better than complexity. And the winner of Livery of the Year, in my opinion, was V-Carb's pink livery for Miami. And like I say, it's very simple. I'm not trying to say it's the most well-crafted livery ever, but something about it, it's just nice seeing a pink and white colour scheme, and with their livery, it just fits nicely. And of course, the can lid wheels is just a great idea. I think it's just a very cleanly executed livery, and certainly the other ones I mentioned definitely deserve a Livery of the Year award, but unfortunately it can only go to one, and I've picked the pink V-Carb this year. So both drivers will be getting a trophy for that, and we'll swiftly move on to the next award, which is Best Teamwork of the Year. Now, just to clarify what this category is, it's a demonstration of where both drivers, or the team orchestrated both drivers to really help each other to get the maximum out of the race. And I know it happened ages ago, but the winner of this award, you have to cast your mind all the way back to V-Carb in the Monaco Grand Prix. Now, for entertainment point of view, they robbed us of a bit of action, right? Because basically what happened is, I believe Liam Lawson backed up the pack, or maybe it was Isaac Hadjar. One of them backed up the pack so that the one in front got a free pit stop to do, and then they started backing up again so the other one could drive off and have another free pit stop. And it resulted in a very strong finishing position for the V-Carb that weekend. And it was just a great display of teamwork. Simply put, they made other teams copy them. Williams later copied them for lesser points because they realised it was a great teamwork strategy. And it was just very well executed. So, good job for RB, or V-Carb, again on another award. They're kind of sweeping this F1 2025 Drivers Awards, or awards. So congratulations to them for winning Best Teamwork of the Year. Now, coming towards the end of our awards this evening, we have Best Team Radio of the Year. And there's so many, we've been treated to some comedy gold radios this year, from many drivers, whether it be Lewis in Miami, whether it be Carlos in Zandvoort. We've had so many. But this year, for me, Radio of the Year goes to the king of radios himself, Fernando Alonso. Not specifically just this radio, but the Singapore Grand Prix in general, because he dropped some iconic, quotable radios in that race. It's more so not the singular radio that won him this award. It was more a case of the overall efforts of that race, of the amount of iconic radios he gave. Whether it's I will disconnect the radio if they keep talking to me, or him fuming at Hamilton having a brake failure, or trophy for hero of the race to Isaac Hadjar. he just was popping off that race. And for a total effort, I think he does deserve Radio of the Year this year. So luckily for Fernando, he will get a trophy this year. And very well deserved, if you ask me. Now, our next award is a one-off one, really, because I don't feel we really got a proper moment for this in the broadcasts, and that's Farewell of the Year. Now, this is a very condensed pool of candidates for this one. You could say it's Sauber, or you could say it's Yuki Tsunoda, but in this case, I've gone for Yuki Tsunoda, because it just feels like there was so much anger, I suppose, towards him for the incident with him and Lando in the race, and it kind of just got swept under the rug that he wasn't actually getting a seat next year at the end of the race. Like, of course, they focused on the World Championship, understandable, but he kind of just faded into non-existence. So, from a sympathetic point of view, Yuki Tsunoda will get an award for Farewell of the Year. And that wraps up the awards we have for tonight. And as you can see, these are the updated standings based off of the awards we've given out tonight. And you can see sort of the top 5 very or have stayed the same, with some awards going to McLaren, some going to Max Verstappen. And sort of the biggest movers here are, of course, the 2 V-Carb drivers, having a blinder of the season with the awards they've taken tonight. And also all of the drivers who have got their first trophies of the year. They'll be very happy with that, I'm sure. And it's moved them up the standings, and they can take some silverware home to enjoy, because it's the most prestigious award they possibly could have been given. So, I'm sure both McLaren drivers are going to be ecstatic with finishing first and second in the overall championship. But, oh wait, I think I'm getting news that we've got another award coming in. This is certainly a surprise, but it seems the next category is Best Interviews of the Year. Well, that seems like an odd award to be given. I mean, who could that even be? Oh. Well, with that, Lance Stroll is your winner of the F1 2025 awards ceremony. Have a good night, everyone. Hope you had a good holiday, and I'll see you for the 2026 predictions.